Hello everyone, this is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to the One Bitcoin Show. Today is July the 10th, 2019. Strong hand, long-term thinking, one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. Fitting in is overrated. And we're going to talk about that and personal responsibility being the new counterculture today on this very special show as I am traveling to Tel Aviv. Your regularly scheduled One Bitcoin show will be tomorrow. So this is going to be a little bit of beyond Bitcoin type of stuff that'll get your hands stronger, because there's all this FUD out there. There's all these people, the mainstreamers, the normies, the 80%ers, whatever you want to call them, that talk a mean game about Bitcoin and try to make you get back into the get out of the Bitcoin overlay and to fit in and to buy that big house and buy that expensive car. You have to learn to ignore that kind of peer pressure. Of course, you only need validation from yourself. You don't need validation from mainstream society. And most people cannot live without validation from mainstream society. But I want you to pound that like button, first of all. And of course, check out all the links below. You know, watch the archives while you wait for my regularly scheduled show to come back on. But you got to learn to think like an 80%er, like a normie, but do the opposite. And have confidence to know that what the majority of people are doing is wrong. So, again, you don't need the mainstream validation, though. You can think like them and then do the opposite. And then you ask yourself, well, why? Why are they doing this? Why do they think the big house is the answer to all their problems? And why do they think getting into debt is a good thing, is something just to ignore? And you'll come to the conclusion, like, these are not very good things. These are not very productive things. I will dig a big hole if I buy a house I can't afford, or buy a car that I can't afford, or get into debt for some other ridiculous reason. But they will never ask themselves that question, okay? Thus, you have an advantage on in so many aspects of life, that the 80%er is never going to ask why, and never going to figure out why they're really doing this. They're never going to get to the root of the issue. And you'll be like, well, I'm going to think like an 80%er. They want to get this big house to show off to their friends, but what's the point of that? What benefit does that give to me if I buy this big house instead of buying boring Bitcoin, making a logical investment? They will never figure that out, and you don't have to worry, and that's great. You have an advantage right away. So if you can realize, like, okay, I'm going to take a few moments here, I'm going to think like an 80%er, I'm going to analyze all their decision-making process, and I'm going to do the opposite of what they do. They're never going to do that, thus you have an advantage over them. Now, some things, when you go through this process of thinking like an 80%er, some investments, it's like so obvious to you, like, well, wait a second, why aren't the majority of people doing this? It's so obvious this is the way to go to be successful in life. I only have to defer gratification a few days, a few weeks, a few years, whatever it may be. I'll wait for that bus to pass. Oh my God, we're gonna get all the buses here, great. By the way, this is Maryland, people. We are in Maryland right now. This is what it looks like outside. But no, people are impulsive. They want the easy answers, okay? And they don't want to think very much. So they'll see something like Bitcoin. Bitcoin will be out there for the mainstreamers to analyze, and there will be so much scorn and hate toward it because it's too complicated. Why? I don't understand how it works. It's a scam. It's the NSA. And people will try to complicate matters so much around something that is so simple and so obvious. It is digital money, not controlled by any country, and there's a fixed amount of it. Thus, it is not inflationary like every other currency we deal with. It is not manipulated like so many other currencies and asset classes. It's not controlled by a centralized authority. This seems like something so unique, so obvious. Why not take a chance on it? But what the majority will tell you is it is so risky, it is so scary, and just scream FUD at you. But if you look at it, it is so obvious. And there are so many things in life that are so obvious, but for whatever reason, the mainstream complicates it and distracts you so you get validated by some impulsive type of endeavor, okay? So you need to be able to stay focused in life and be able to admit to yourself the majority is doing the wrong thing. And what the right thing is so obvious, but no one is looking at it. People are just making up excuses. So yeah, it can be just that. Life can be that easy. It just requires some deferral of gratification, and you have to be able to ignore the mob and ignore the mainstream validators. Again, if you do not, there's someone I know right there. Yes, ignore the mainstream validators. That the 80%ers are not, because they need to fit in. They need that validation through getting the big house, through getting that nice car. Now again, that car right there was necessary. That was, you should have seen the old car that came before that car. Okay, so sometimes you do need a new car, and but anyway. So I think that's it today. I hope everybody enjoyed that. And remember, you might think to yourself, well, this is not sustainable. Obviously, all the 80%ers are going to wake up and they're going to jump into Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's going to take over. The whole financial system is not sustainable. And you are analyzing things way too hard there. Yeah, logically, it's not sustainable, but think like an 80%er there. Think like an 80%er. They're going to keep on buying into it. They support the welfare dollar system. They need validation. They need to go to send their kids to the best schools. They need the best public schools. They need to rely on the government. That is what is normal, to rely on the government. So the whole traditional financial system, with some additions from Facebook coin and all that, it can keep on going and going and going and going, and they're not necessarily going to wake up to it. And so you don't want to wait around and say, well, I'm not going to get into Bitcoin until more people are going to get into it, because they're all going to wake up. No, Bitcoin doesn't have to take over the world to be successful. I mean, that is a very important thing to remember. But again, think like an 80%er. Some of them are never going to get it, and thus the traditional systems that some people say, oh, it's all going to fall apart one day. No, it's not going to all fall apart one day, because the 80%ers will keep on buying into it. And just because it doesn't fall apart doesn't mean it's wrong, okay? There are a lot of things out there that don't make sense. That people are going to keep on buying bigger and bigger and more expensive houses and getting more and more into debt. That doesn't mean because everybody's doing it, it is the right thing. That's why, again, you need to have the confidence in yourself. You need to be able to validate yourself and tell yourself that just because the majority is doing it does not mean it is the best option. Get on board with the best option. That is Bitcoin. Stay positive with the best option, no matter what FUD is thrown out there, no matter what all the validators say. Have a strong hand. Keep on hanging on to it through tough times. Just don't be impulsive. Create yourself a plan. And again, you can become a stronger individual if you can think like an 80%er and do the opposite of what they're doing. And that's it. I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Remember to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video, check out the links below. Pound that like button. See you in Israel.
But I remember reading, and I made a video about this in the past, about how Bitcoin is for white guys. And let me tell you, if you're a black person and you see a story like that out there again, like Bitcoin is racist or something, jump into Bitcoin immediately, because the media doesn't understand a thing. And they're probably against Bitcoin. They're against everything that's new. So they want to, make it seem not cool or racist or whatever. Dude, that's when you jump into something like Bitcoin, okay? It's when it looks like the media is trying to scare you off or make it seem like it's against you. It's time to get in, because Bitcoin is empowering. You're not depending on anyone. You're depending on you're taking a risk yourself, okay? And it's a risk that you want to pay off, that's going to pay off, that you think is going to pay off big time. And hey, again, there's no penalty for early withdrawal either with Bitcoin, okay? It's just like using your own money.